if we think about before these new techniques like archaeochemistry, I guess in the 60s, people were, and ever since ancient times, people have been relying on written accounts, right? So we have you study Sanskrit as well as these kind of European languages, and you write about how Soma in the Rig Veda, some of the oldest religious texts we have, are perhaps the first indication that there's some kind of psychedelic potion being used in religious contexts. Is that right?
It's possible, and it's very, very controversial. I don't want to speculate too much about Soma, but I wouldn't be the first person to do so. Calvert Watkins at Harvard did so in the same year that The Road to Eleusis was released in 1978. People have questions about these mixed potions and their use and why they came along, how they survived, how they were applied over time. The Soma has been compared by scholars like this to the Cookeon, which was the ritual sacrament used in the Eleusinian mysteries for 2,000 years. And again, you can make not too far of a leap to the Christian Eucharist. This idea of a sacrament that is supposed to provide some kind of communion with the god or the goddess or the gods and safeguard some kind of immortality. I mean, it's very, very clear from the Gospels that the Eucharist is an immortality potion and nothing less. And I spent a lot of time talking about the Gospel of John, and we won't fast forward to it, but I mean, just to use one very quick line in Greek, in John 6:56, Jesus says, "Whoever drinks my blood, remains in me and I in them." Basically, we become one. And that idea was there in Eleusis. It was very much present in the mysteries of Dionysus. There were lots of Greek pagan mystery traditions that seem to have survived into the Christian era.
Right. It's worth lingering on that point, I think, because this is the immortality key of the title of the book, right? This, the fact that it produces this, it has this strange relationship to death. And in Hopkins studies, as you say, people feeling that death is no longer a problem. And I think it can be hard maybe for people to wrap their heads around if they've not had these experiences. But, I think there's a sense of ego dissolution going from feeling like you are this limited personality to identifying with something much greater. You might call it God or the universe or, but some reality or just reality itself being far bigger than you. And if you identify with being, then the thing that you are, the thing that matters will continue after the individual ego dies, right? And you write very eloquently about ego dissolution for someone who I don't think has ever had the experience themselves, right?
But that is exactly the point. And I'm having a lot of fun talking about that because people can't believe I'm a psychedelic virgin, but that's actually the whole point of my book. It's why I start the book. And in fact, the key in the Immortality Key does not refer to drugs or psychedelics. The way I define that key to immortality is that ego dissolution, myriad ways to make that happen. And I start the book with the phrase in Greek, which can be found at the Mount Athos Monastery, the holiest site in Greek Orthodoxy. And it's if you die before you die, you won't die when you die. And that has nothing to do with drugs per se, but it is this sense of ego dissolution that certainly survived into the Greek Orthodox Church, and I argue represents a legacy from antiquity. The Greeks were obsessed with death by any means possible. And Plato, although he was an initiate, in the Phaedo, for example, he defines philosophy as, those who engage with it in the right way. True philosophy is nothing else but dying and being dead. Again, nothing to do with drugs per se, but in the Greek world, in and outside the mysteries, there were these, I guess what Eliade would say, these archaic techniques of ecstasy to confront, to overcome death, whether that's meditation, fasting, just lying dead in a cave for 3 days. These experiences seem to arise. These visionary experiences seem to arise. The human body and our neurochemistry seems to give rise to these experiences. And sometimes it does happen naturally.